Welcome into the Gridiron live Cowboys post-game show. Creta 3 with you here live on YouTube. What a stinker of a game by the Cowboys. 31-10, they lose to the Bills in America's lamest game of the week. That's what my buddy Byron called it, and that's true. What a lame effort by the Cowboys. So exciting after the huge win last week over the Eagles. And they go on the road and do what the Cowboys do on the road and look terrible. Super Bowl, and now they go and look like that. And the problem with that is, okay, it's just one game, whatever. Yeah, but now the Cowboys, if they're going to go to the Super Bowl, they're going to have to go on the road, and they're going to have to beat the Eagles and the 49ers both on the road in the playoffs. And the way this team, the drastically different this team plays at home versus on the road, there's just no way that's happening. They're not beating both the Eagles and the 49ers on the road in the playoffs. And that was kind of what today was. It was reality that the Cowboys are not going to be able to go through the playoffs on the road. If Cowboys are going to get back to a Super Bowl, they're going to have to get home field advantage. And that's something we have not been able to do. We did it 2 years ago, but we lost to the 49ers at home. But this team, if they don't get home field advantage, I just don't see them running the gauntlet on the road. I just don't see it. So we're live. Get your questions in. Cowboys post-game show here on the Gridiron Grind. Jimmy G's not with us this week. His plane got delayed. He just landed from Las Vegas, and he won't be with us. So I'm here with you for a few minutes. Talk about the stinker of a game. Get your questions in, and we'll get to them. We'll all just grieve over this game together. The stats are not pretty. Prescott had a chance to win the MVP. I don't think that is going to be a reality anymore after the day Brock Purdy had. Dak was 21 of 34, 134 yards, no touchdowns, one interception, sacked 3 times. We did not run the ball very effectively, 20 carries, 89 yards. Pollard ran hard. Offensive line, the Bills' D-line, they won the battle up front. CeeDee Lamb had to have 7 catches on 10 targets for only 53 yards. Just wasn't a lot of space for our offense. The Bills shut us down. And defensively, the Cowboys could not stop the run. This looked like the Arizona game, except with worse offense. We just could not stop the run. When the Cowboys are so bad at setting the edge sometimes, it helps them in the pass rush, but the Cowboys can't play from behind because they can't stop the run. Anybody with a decent run game, the Cowboys struggle, and they really struggle setting the edge. Josh Allen didn't have a particularly great game either. He was only 7 of 15, 94 yards and a touchdown. But when you can run the ball 49 times for 266 yards, you don't need your quarterback to throw the ball. And that was a perfect Bills game plan because Josh Allen is a turnover machine. Well, when you only let him throw it 15 times, it's best case scenario because he didn't have many opportunities to turn the ball over. James Cook had over 100 yards in the first half. He had 25 carries for 179 yards. He also kills out of the backfield. He had 42 yards and a touchdown out of the catching the ball out of the backfield. They got whipped. The Buffalo defense shut down our offense, number 1 offense in the league, shut us down. And the offense ran the ball. We couldn't stop the run. It was very simple for the Bills today, and nothing the Cowboys could do about it. You could tell early on. It looked like the Cardinal game where we just couldn't stop the run. So anyway, get your questions in. We'll wrap it up. Cowboys drop the stinker of a game. They are now 10-4, a game back of the Eagles. We really need the Eagles to lose tomorrow night to the Seahawks to have any chance. So we'll see how that goes. Jalen Hurts is sick, and he's questionable for tomorrow night, so that could help. Even so, we'd have to overcome. The Eagles would probably still have the tiebreaker against us. I have to look into it. I know the top 3 tiebreakers, if the Eagles were to lose tomorrow night, we'd still all be tied. I don't know what the 4th tiebreaker is. The first tiebreaker is head-to-head, and then it's division record, which if they don't lose a division game and we don't lose to Washington, we'd have the same record in the division. Conference record, if they lose to the Seahawks, we both have the same conference record. This game doesn't hurt us because the Bills in the AFC, but we lost to the Cardinals, and that's what hurts us. So if the Eagles lose tomorrow night, we'd be on equal footing then. We'd both have the same conference record, and then it would be common opponents. Well, we'd have the same record against common opponents as well. So not sure what the tiebreaker would be. So it really comes back into play if the Eagles can lose to the Seahawks tomorrow night. And I hate it that the Cowboys don't control their own destiny, that we're here rooting for the Eagles to lose, to give us a chance. And the Cowboys had an opportunity tonight, and they fell flat on their face, losing 31-10. A couple questions have come in. Canal Kind, they did look sick, and now I feel sick. My dog is sick. Well, that's a rough day. A lot of sickness. Cowboys, apparently sickness running through the building, and they played like it. They played terrible. Going to burn his Cowboys shirt. Raymond Gabe Terrell. Cowboys find out they're in the playoffs right before the game, and the Bills can only get to the playoffs by beating the Cowboys. How much did Zach Martin's injury impact our offense? I think it impacted it. I don't think it impacted it that much. I mean, you lose one of your best players on the offensive line in the middle. Yeah, that absolutely is going to hurt. But, I don't know. I mean, it still wouldn't have mattered. We couldn't stop the run. We couldn't set the edge on the defense. So I think it definitely impacted it. But I don't think that's the reason we lost the game. Wasn't the weather? Sure wasn't the weather. Absolutely not. Forecast supposed to be a lot worse. It ended up being a really nice day for Buffalo in middle December. It's like 40-something degrees. So that didn't have any effect. There's nothing you can blame this on. Like I said, it was just straightforward. We couldn't stop the run. They controlled the ball. They controlled the clock. They controlled the line of scrimmage. And then their defense got after our offense. They were better up front than we were. They put a lot of pressure on Dak. They put a lot of pressure on our receivers. Not a lot of separation. And that's that. They were the more aggressive team. They were the better team. And they played like they needed this game more than the Cowboys did. And that's what it showed like to me. I mean, they were the more desperate team, 7-6. Cowboys, like I said, clinched the playoffs right before the game anyway. I mean, that was kind of a foregone conclusion. The Cowboys were always going to make the playoffs. I don't think that affected the Cowboys' effort because they prepare all week to play the game. And just because you find out right before kickoff you're going to make the playoffs, I don't think that affected our mood at all. I mean, I think we were assuming we were going to make the playoffs anyway. So I don't think that affected it. I think it's just the Buffalo wanted it more. They wanted it more, and they played more desperate than what the Cowboys did. And the Cowboys had that huge win against the Eagles last week, and they just kind of ran into a more desperate team, and the Bills played like they wanted it more. Absolutely. So, again, Jimmy's stuck at the airport. I'll stay on a couple more minutes. I mean, there's not much to talk about. Bills beat the Cowboys, and now we're rooting for the Eagles to lose. We really need the Eagles to lose tomorrow night to the Seahawks and to still have a chance because the Cowboys on the road in the playoffs, just not a recipe for winning. I mean, if we play the Saints on the road first game, wouldn't love it, but I still think the Cowboys would win that game just like they beat the Bucs last year. But then you're looking at probably playing the Niners on the road and then the Eagles on the road to make the Super Bowl. And I don't think anybody has confidence, even the diehardest of Cowboy fan can have confidence that this team is going to win 3 playoff games on a road to make the playoff, especially 2 in a row against the 49ers and Eagles. So the Cowboys need to play as many home games in the playoffs as they can. And for that to happen, the Eagles have to lose tomorrow night to the Seahawks. They just have to. And then they need to lose probably to the Giants. So that's a lot to ask. It's a lot to ask. I don't have a lot of confidence in that happening at all. Gabe Terrell, can we show up against Miami? Probably not. I mean, if you think about it, it's another road game. We're 3-4 record on the road, so not a lot of confidence there. Tyreek Hill didn't play today for Miami, and Miami still rolled the Jets and looked good on offense. So, I mean, as of right now, I don't know if there's any lines out. Let's see. I'd be interested to see what Vegas has that game, if they already set some lines for next week. Not seeing it, but I would imagine Buffalo's probably a 3-point favorite. Buffalo was a 2-point favorite in this game, and dominated. I bet Miami's favored. I'd put Miami as a favorite next week, probably by 3. I don't have confidence going into next week at all whatsoever, playing the Dolphins on the road. Miami is way more creative with their offense. They will demolish us. Probably true. The only thing, it all starts with the Cowboys. The best part about the Cowboys defense is their pass rush and their ability to create turnovers. And those two kind of go hand in hand. When the pass rush can get after the quarterback, they can force the quarterback into making bad decisions. They can be really aggressive in the back end, and they can get turnovers. But like you're saying, McDaniel is very creative on offense. And so he's probably going to try to prevent the Cowboys from getting pressure. And how Buffalo has done that, how Philadelphia did that in the first game, how the Cardinals did it, and how the 49ers do it, is they run the football. They run the football, and Dallas struggles against good rushing teams, really against good, strong zone blocking teams because they can't set the edge. For whatever reason, they're terrible at setting the edge in the run defense. And that's how the games we've lost, that's how they've beat us. And we can't just pin our ears back and go after the quarterback. And in the case of the 49ers, they did so much play action. We were lost on defense against the 49ers because they had our number. And I can see Miami doing that. I can see Miami trying to run the ball. Buffalo just bullied us. They just ran the ball the whole time, basically, and didn't let Josh Allen make any turnovers. Smart game plan by them. I can see Miami being very creative, keeping us off balance, running the ball. If they're having success, they'll probably continue to run the ball. If they're not having that much success, they'll probably run it just enough to keep us off balance, to keep Micah Parsons and our pass rushers from getting to Tua. And I think Mike McDaniel, it's going to be another road game. Cowboys are 3-4. Not a lot of confidence. Like I said, I bet Miami's a 3-point favorite if I had to guess right now. Mad Dog, 0 confidence. Miami has 2 good running backs too. Yeah. A-Chain and is it Mozart, who had like a career fantasy game not earlier in the season, was against the Broncos, or was that A-Chain? I don't know, but yeah, Miami has good running backs. They have a really good offense. I do expect the Cowboys offense to play better next week against Miami. Buffalo does still have a solid defense, especially up on the line of scrimmage. We'll see how bad the Zach Martin injury is. Hopefully it's not too bad. Hopefully he can go. We'll see. And I think a lot of it depends on what the Eagles do. If the Eagles win tomorrow night, I mean, you're effectively a game and a half behind the Eagles. If they lose tomorrow night, the division is still up for grabs. And you got to win these last 3 games. And 2 of them are on the road. Week 18, we play, is it Washington? Yeah, on the road. So we go at Miami, home against Detroit. Detroit looked like they're back in form last night, putting it to the Broncos. And then on the road against Washington. And look what happened last week of the season at Washington. We put up a dud right before the playoffs and got smoked. This team's just not a good road team. And now we got to play. We got to win all 3 games, have a chance, and 2 of our final 3s on the road. This game, that's what this game did. It reassured us the lack of confidence we have in the Cowboys on the road. And not only that, I believe the Dolphins Stadium is on turf. And the Cowboys in the last 3 years are 3-9. They play on grass. And the Cowboys' record the last 3 years is 3-9 on natural grass. So not a lot of confidence coming from me on the Cowboys next week. And it's very disheartening after the exciting win we had last week. All right, thanks for joining us. Cowboys lose 31-10 to the Bills. They fall to 10-4. Game back of the Eagles. The Eagles play tomorrow night, Monday Night Football, against the Seahawks back in Philadelphia. Or is it – actually, I think it might be it's in Seattle. It's in Seattle. Philadelphia, 3-point favorite still, even with the Jalen Hurts questionable with sickness. So, everybody be tuned into that, see what happens. This week on the Gridiron Grind, we'll have no college podcast this week. We put out our college podcast last week that covers 2 weeks' worth of bowl games. It'll cover you through the following Thursday after Christmas. So no college podcast this week. We will have an NFL and Cowboys podcast breaking down Cowboys playoff scenarios and if whatever happens with the Eagles Seahawks game tomorrow night, preview the Dolphins game and Cowboy playoff scenarios. And then we'll have a live post-game show next week as well, which will be on Christmas Eve, I believe. So we'll have Jimmy back with us this week as he is stuck at an airport coming back from Las Vegas. So we'll get to what fun he had in Las Vegas this week on our show this week. So be sure to tune into that on YouTube as my daughter Emery breaks our candy dish. She's stealing some of my candy on my desk. So join us this week, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, like, comment, subscribe, and we'll see you this week on The Grind. Later, folks.